How do fractional CMOs hit the ground running? Hi, I'm Dean Waye. Welcome to the podcast, Fractional CMOs and the 90-Day Win. There's a lot of variety in how they kick off new client engagements. In fact, there's so much variety, it's valuable to just listen to what opportunities they look for, what they tackle first, and what they wish wasn't true when they start a new project. So let's find out. Mikael, I'm going to ask you a question, and then feel free to either introduce yourself and then answer it, or just answer it and then introduce yourself. But imagine you just started a new engagement. You're the fractional CMO. We'll talk about early wins in a moment. But first, what problems do you typically see, or what problems do you normally look for on day one?
Yes, very interesting. So first of all, my name is Mikael Wallstedt. I work as a fractional CMO, and I'm working with tech companies mostly. That's often the helping them to set up the framework really to generate more leads and closing more deals. That is mostly through consulting. That's more of the individual stuff. And then also from transformational work, which is more of the corporate stuff. And there are a few of us, so I also try to focus on the implementation, not just the strategy and so on.
Okay.
So back to your question really about where to start with and what the problems
what problems do you normally look for or see on day one?
So let me share with you a story. I was working as fractional CMO, and almost the second day when I was at the office, I was actually stopped by the CTO at the company. And he looked at me and said, hey, we don't really need people like you here. We're a tech company. We have built excellent products. We don't really need marketing. So what are you doing here? And he basically told me to just bugger off. So that was a pretty hard start, I would say. Well, what did I tell him? I said, I'll see. I understand. But hey, when you walked into the office this morning, did you see the long queue outside our door? He said, no, I didn't see any queue. Well, neither did I, because if we were such a fantastic company, we would have a long queue of customers outside waiting to buy our products. And that was really a start. And I think, this is a true story, and we need to understand the framework. We need to find the alliance and what we're going to do there. We can't just walk in and come with our tools, and we need to get started in the right settings.
When I was in sales, as I finished up my corporate career before going out on my own, I had a sales manager. He only lasted about a month before he left, but he gave me two of the very best pieces of advice I ever got. And one of them was, the most dangerous idea in sales is they would buy if only they knew everything about the product. And he said, don't fall into that trap. You'll never, ever get out of it. John, how about you? What do you look for on the first day? And what do you normally see when your boots on the ground on a new engagement? And hi, John.
Yeah, so my name is John Santaferraro, and I'm a fractional CMO. This sounds like an AA meeting, but it's not.
Yeah.
I've been in the tech industry doing marketing for about 30 years now. And so it's fun to go in as a fractional CMO. I think it depends on the type of company. I see two different types of companies, the engineering-led and the sales-led. The engineering-led, you just described, Mikael. It's they think that if we build it, they will come, and that's all. And why would you need marketing? And then you have the sales-led, where they just believe that all that matters is sales. Sell, 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 sell. Don't worry about marketing, positioning, and all that. And it usually trickles down from the CEO. If the CEO has an engineering background, it's engineering-led. If the CEO has a sales background, sales-led. When I go in, I'm typically looking to establish a solid ground around a value proposition. Usually hasn't been done. It doesn't get done by sales. It doesn't get done by engineering. Some solid messaging on that, and a brand experience that allows me to put in place in the first 90 days an integrated marketing plan, so that whatever the company has to be able to spend on marketing, it's targeted, it's well spent, and it has results. And I find that, the other thing that I find when I get there is they think they're marketing, but it's all of these individual. It's like it's pray and spray. Get the shotgun out and shoot in 100 different directions and hope that something catches. And they actually think that that's the way to do it. That's what works.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. So it's interesting to show up on day one.
And I just wanted to add to that there's so many that does this spray and pray. And I speak to tech CEOs almost every day, and they are just not into this marketing yet. They haven't understood what they need to do. So that's the starting point where we need to start, really.
Well, okay. So I said we were going to talk about early wins, and the name of the podcast is the 90-Day Win. So let's talk about that. What kind of low-hanging fruit or what kind of early wins do you like to do in the first 90 days? John, let's start with you and then go back to Mikael.
Yeah, I think for me, it goes back to that integrated marketing campaign. So if in 90 days, I can lay a foundation with solid positioning, messaging, value proposition, which is difficult to do, but it's a beginning, right? I may not have that nailed in 90 days, but I want to, within a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'd like to have something that can be a living component and work on that. That allows me to then run an integrated marketing campaign. And ideally, put measurement in place around that integrated marketing campaign. The company doesn't typically stop doing their little one-off kinds of things, but if I have some kind of measurement mechanism in place, then I can compare the integrated marketing campaign and the return on that investment to what they're doing with their pray and spray, and hopefully give them some data to be able to make decisions in the right way going forward.
Yeah, it's the metrics and management folks, fractional CMOs that tend to I tend to deal with because I'm normally brought in the first 90 days of an engagement, and they just want something measurable but concrete. They want a cold email campaign. They want something at the top of the funnel. They want a rewritten homepage. They want a headline, an ad, right? Something that is very concrete and measurable while you go off. It's a lot of people don't put any kind of measurement in place in sort of the first few weeks. It's not how they sort of look at the lay of the land. Maybe that's the way Michael does it. We'll talk in a second. But yeah, that's generally what I see. It's the measurement oriented people who try to bring me in first and figure out sort of an angle. And then the other fractional CMOs tend to be more on the branding side, I think. How about you, Michael? What do you and just normally try to go after in the first 90 days?
To continue on that, I think it's a pretty common case that you are brought in to solve a specific problems that they want to get started with a new tool or new campaign or something. But that's what they think they need, not what they need. And that's the starting point. You need to turn them around, because they won't just be happy just because you launch a new AdWord campaign or bring them a new website. Usually the problem is much bigger. And as John said, we need this integrated marketing campaign that could take them one step up and level up. Now, you can't start with that from day one, because if they brought you in to do the website, you need to start understanding what is needed there. And of course, there are a number of short-term wins that you can do, mainly to prove yourself and win their confidence and start working from there. And that could be things that I do is more helping them to fix their LinkedIn profiles, doing customer interviews and sharing that, have a short training session with the sales team, just taking notes in meetings, help them on small things, try to engage in customers they are trying to win at the moment, just to have a few short-term wins. The purpose of that is, of course, just to prove yourself, get the confidence, so you can start the real work, which they don't even understood that they need yet.
Right. The stuff that's less visible and might take a long time to show results, I guess.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about that, because you just mentioned something and alluded to it. So what do clients normally not see or not know about marketing until you start working with them?
I think they don't understand the purpose of the marketing. And I think you shouldn't hire a fractional CMO just to upgrade your website or implement Google AdWords or fixing your LinkedIn. That's not the purpose. Ultimately, what you want from a fractional CMO is to level up and really try to leapfrog where you are today. Normally, that it would involve some big steps and changes. So actually, sometimes the marketing and the CMO role could be more of a change manager than just a marketer. That's something that they didn't understand, because they say, hey, why don't you come in and we'll continue to do exactly what we did yesterday, but we want a lot of new customers. But sorry, if you want a lot of new customers, we probably need to change something because you didn't do it right yesterday.
Yeah. How about you, John? What do you normally see? Well, what do customers sort of not normally see or know about marketing until you start working with them?
Yeah, I would consider myself a master storyteller. What I do is about crafting the story that the company needs to tell consistently, that they need to tell to prospects, that they need to tell to customers. And I don't think that that most clients understand that. In fact, I recently had a project where I was hired to come in, and I always insist that we do some work on messaging and positioning right up front. And the customer pushed me, the company pushed me, the CEOs, no, actually we need to accelerate sales, we need to accelerate lead generation. Can you just come in and do that? And I did it. And as I was doing it, it was almost impossible to help them with lead generation and with sales and a sales deck without having a consistent story, a consistent message. And I'm not going to do it again. When I was done, it was like, I'm not falling prey to that again. If you want me to come in and do it, there's 100 people that can come in and help with digital marketing and digital marketing campaigns. And there's 1,000 agencies to do that stuff. I think if you're going to hire a fractional CMO, you should think of it at a much more strategic level, somebody who comes in as a leader and is going to lead. And I love what you've said a couple of times, Mikael, just to up level their experience of marketing and brand.
All right, you just touched on a point. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that pulls me to something else, which is, okay, so what should a head of sales or what should a CEO understand about fractional CMOs to get the maximum value from one, right? By definition, they're not going to be there forever. They're not full-time. They're either full-time, but they're not going to be there forever, or they're part-time and they might last for a long time. But what should a CEO or a head of sales even understand about a fractional CMO and what they're there to do and not do to get the best value out of that person?
I mean, I think that first of all, you want to hire a leader, hire somebody who's going to lead, and then as the CEO, let them lead, and work together to set some shared, measurable, reachable goals that you want to achieve, and especially in those first 90 days, but beyond that as well, and then measure them. But I think it's important to understand the person who is coming in. There's three types of CMOs from my perspective. There's the strategist, there's the storyteller, and there's the technician. The strategist is typically great at the positioning, the strategy, partnerships, what to do in the marketplace, how they fit in the marketplace. The storyteller crafts an incredible, compelling message that will attract people to the company and makes it simple and easy and clear to understand what it is they do and what value they're offering. The technician is the guy that can come in and set up your marketing automation system and turn the dials to be able to drive leads. It's rare to find a CMO that is great in all three of those areas. Most of us are great in one, we do well in the second, and we hire for the third. So I think it's important to know what kind of leader, what kind of marketer is coming in, and make sure that that's a match with what you want, and then let them hire either contractors or something around them to be able to fill in the gaps.
Mikael, what do you think? What should a CEO?
Yeah, no, I want to continue Yeah, I would continue on that. And an investment in a fractional CMO is not a short-term engagement.
Yeah.
And that is really to level up, as said before. And if you're, as a customer, if you're looking for some quick gains, if you want to hire someone to fix your website, hire someone that expert in AdWords. If you want to fix your Google AdWords or something else, you hire an expert in that. And if you want a monkey, you hire a monkey. If you want a fractional CMO to help you to level up, that's a fractional CMO you should have.
All right, then okay. All right. That might become a slogan for the podcast going forward. Is if you want a monkey, hire a monkey. Okay, then. Okay, then. How about this?
It's a bit of fun, but it's also true. If you want a leader, you should hire a leader.
Yeah. Okay, so how about this then? Mikael, back to you, and then we'll go to John, and then I'm going to open it up, and you guys can talk about the topics that we haven't covered yet, which is this: what are the signs that a client should not have hired a fractional CMO or wasn't ready for one yet? Like, you talk to a lot more companies than you ever end up working with, right? By definition. And so, what are the sort of signals, or what would people say, or as you do a bit of discovery in their situation, what are the signs that they really should not be hiring a fractional CMO yet, or maybe ever? What? What are the red flags?
They need to be a little bit ready to change. They need to be able to level up. If they don't want to do that, if they just want to stay in where they are and they are happy, then they don't need a fractional CMO.
Okay, how about you, John?
Yeah, I think that one of them is a CEO who is not going to be willing to let go of the marketing and wants to come in and micromanage, or a team that is confused about their roles in the company. I had a client as a fractional CMO where I went to the product team, and I work primarily with technology companies as well. And and there was a launch that was coming up, and I just want to know, tell me what are you doing from a technology standpoint? Can you describe to me what capabilities, what features, how do they function? How does it all work together? What's the architecture? What is the capability that puts in the hands of the users of the product? And the product leader came back to me with a plan for a marketing campaign. And I went back and asked for the same stuff again and never even got a response from the product team. And because they had never done any kind of product development, they'd never worked in a software company on a team like that, the technology team, the product team didn't even know what their role was. And it happened a second time, same thing. I got a marketing plan back, and it's like time out. It's like, we got to figure out what roles are, because you hire a marketing person to do marketing. But if there's confusion throughout the startup in terms of how the different roles function in the company, that company is not ready for a fractional CMO. And then the only other one I would say is again, and I mentioned this at the start, it's if the only goals that matter are sales, and you've got a product that you're taking to market, especially in a B2B technology company, where the sales can be sometimes 2 to 3 months,
right?
Especially if it's enterprise sale. If the company is expecting you to see come in and immediately some kind of massive uptick in sales in the first 90 days or even in the first 6 months, that company's not ready for a fractional CMO.
Right. Okay. So they don't really understand themselves enough yet to know what an incoming fractional CMO should be doing, or why they're suited for one yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the 5 questions I wanted to get answered. You guys did fantastic on that. Is there any other? I got to ask. A lot of at this point, and I've worked for hundreds of fractional CMOs and their clients, and Like, is there a red flag? Is there something? Okay, you've been on a discovery call. Everyone who's ever done any kind of prospecting or selling for their own firm or whatever, right? Everyone has been on a call where, like, just a couple of minutes in, someone set aside 30 minutes, but by the second minute, like, this person is never going to be a client. Like, what's that sort of instant indicator or red flag for you?
Well, I can tell you a true story. I went on a discovery call, and the guy asked me, "Yeah, can you be my scrum master?" I would say that was a total misunderstanding, and because that's what he needed.
Yeah, that was that week's employment gap that needed to be filled, is to talk to the dev team and get do agile project development. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why he accepted the call, because we had a dialogue before even. But okay, those things happen. No, but jokes aside, I think we touched upon it. I think they need to be ready for this role, and if there is no role for this, if it's not open in the organization, and an open mind to do, the CEO need to give away the marketing and so on, then it's going to be very difficult to get something done. Then you are stuck with just being the administrator of some marketing campaign and updating websites, and that's not really the work.
How about you, John? Is there, like, where you're the second minute into a discovery call or a sales call and you realize, like, no, not these guys?
Yeah, I think it's the company that has no marketing sense, and it's obvious. Yeah. If you're going to bring in a fractional CMO, you have to have some kind of a sense for marketing. So if I see a pitch that gets a D- or an F, and a website that is so confusing nobody could make sense out of it, those are red flags for me. And it depends. Even in that situation, I'll point those things out, and if they can't receive some kind of criticism about a couple of things that they've done that are done poorly, we're not going to work together well, because my job is going to come in as a fractional CMO and up level, which means, unfortunately, I'm going to have to point out some things that you're not doing well. So if you can't receive that criticism, that's a big red flag.
Well, let me ask this then, to you, John, first, and then to Mikael. Would you rather be the first of any kind of CMO, fractional or otherwise, that company's ever had? Or would you rather go in after, like, a full-time CMO has been there for a while, but left for some reason, and right now they're looking at, like, a fractional CMO instead of hiring another full-time? Permanent, I should say. Would you rather be first on the ground, period, and there's really kind of nothing in place? Or would you rather come in after, to sort of help fill a vacancy for a while?
Having done some of my own startup companies, or at least been, third or fourth person in companies, I'd always rather come in and have a clean slate to be able to work with. I think that's advantageous, rather than trying to clean up a mess that already exists.
Okay, how about you, Mikael?
Yeah, I would fully agree on that. It's a lot easier to start with a clean sheet and bringing it on, because then it's much more open than starting to, with a big rucksack and start to clean up the stuff that wasn't done correctly.
But even though there's no, for want of a better phrase, marketing infrastructure in place, so it's all going to have to be done, right? Like, bring a shovel, because there's not even a hole dug yet, kind of thing.
I think the other issue is that if there are some marketing efforts that have been underway and they haven't been done in the right way, or with real marketing sense, there's somebody there that is behind that you're going to have to work with to be able to help them understand what was wrong with what they did.
Right.
And so it's part of the job of the fractional CMO. We have to be able to do that. But if, in your question, if I don't have to deal with any of that and I can just write on a blank slate, I'll take that any day. And I think that, companies that are startup companies should be considering, if you can't afford a full-time CMO as part of your core team, at least start with a fractional CMO from the very beginning.
Right. Rather than start with a full-time junior.
Serve them well.
Right. So rather than bring in someone full time who's like cheaper but junior and less experienced, consider bringing in a fractional CMO who's got lots of experience and but won't be like necessarily full time or permanent.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say I'm CEO of a company, and I've never had any kind of CMO or head of marketing, but I do have a chief revenue officer. Just promoted somebody, just hired in someone, right? How, if at all, does that change your approach, or like whether or not you'd want to work for that client, or how you might work with that client? So there's someone who's going to be in charge. Just to be clear on this, chief revenue officer in the sense that you find a lot of these days, which is they're technically in charge of sales and marketing. There's one person now who's in charge of both, and it wouldn't be you. Plus or minus, pro or con, good or bad, nuanced. What do you think?
I would say it's pretty neutral because, yeah, of course, we tend to believe that the higher up in the hierarchy, the more we can achieve.
Right.
It might be so, but as a leader, you need to be able to work from what position you have. You need to, and if you don't have those positions, you need to create that space in that position for yourself to be able to work in that. And of course, you need to be able to find a way to work with this CRO. That's of course, but I don't see why that shouldn't work.
Okay, what do you think?
I agree, Mikael, and I think I approach it differently. I ask a lot of questions. Probably it may be a little annoying, but because in some ways they're interviewing me to be a CMO, but I'm interviewing them to be a fractional CMO as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in a situation where it's not going to work, where it's going to fail. So I ask a lot of questions of the CEO and the chief revenue officer. What have you been doing to market yourselves now? Because people market themselves whether they have a marketing leader or even a marketing person or not. So what are you doing now? What's working? Tell me about your existing customers. If you have customers, what is it that matters most to them? How did you find them? Where did you find them? Where can we find more like them? So I have 100 questions for the CEO and the chief revenue officer in advance that make a way forward for me to be able to work with them. If I understand who they are, where they're coming from, how they operate, what sales methodology are you using? Are you using solution selling or challenger sales? What is it? If I understand that CRO, he and I can work together, because my belief anyway is that marketing exists to be able to drive more sales and to turn customers into evangelists for the company. And so that should thrill a chief revenue officer. So I love that whole process of understanding the CRO and then being able to work together again with those common shared goals.
Okay, so 1 John, this is our last question. 1 John and then Mikael. I'm going to ask you a question and then let people know how they can get in touch with you or how they can find you. Okay, let's say that there's no chief revenue officer. You're talking to the CEO, and the CEO's, we're looking to bring you in, and one of the first things we're going to want you to do is help us interview a fractional head of sales. So there's no one in charge of sales yet. That person left. So there's going to be a fractional chief marketing officer and a fractional head of sales, and you're going to help them decide who the fractional head of sales should be. What are you looking for in a fractional head of sales to get the sort of best alignment and I hate this word, but synergy between marketing and sales? If you have the opportunity to interview and guide the process for bringing in a fractional head of sales. And of course, don't forget to say how people can find you.
Yeah, I would be looking for a couple of things. One of them would be their track record. Show me some results, give me some numbers, let me know how you've done in the past. And 2, I would be looking for longevity. Somebody who has been in positions in sales, not moving every year and a half. It takes 6 to 9 months, sometimes a year to get established. So if it's somebody that's moving all the time, that's not the right person. And then third, I would want to find somebody who has a methodology for sales and can articulate it and ties that back to the results that they were able to achieve. So I would look for those things in the CRO. This has been great. Dean, thank you so much. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, if you just want to have a conversation or learn more about what it means to be a fractional CMO, you can reach me at John, John, at ferraroconsulting.com, or go to ferraroconsulting.com on the website. Look forward to speaking to you soon.
And Mikael, you're
Yes.
going to have to help choose the fractional head of sales.
Yeah, first of all, it of course depends on what the company needs. If the company needs a farmer, we're looking for a farmer. If they need a hunter, we need a hunter. Depending on what they, and of course that could be a split of the roles between the CMO and the CRO and how that works. So it should probably be complementary role. That being said, if the person is open and formable, I think that's very important to me. And yeah, I likewise, as John said, it's been great to be on here, and thank you for that, Dean. And yeah, if someone wants to get in touch with me, you can find me on my company inonom.com, or just find me on LinkedIn and ping me, and I'd love to have a chat with you.
All right. I noticed that, by the way, neither one of you really put much stress on that last question on how well the head of sales had worked with marketing in the past. Just thought that was a little curious, right? It's like, it doesn't matter, or you have such low hopes that they're going to be like enmeshed with marketing really well anyway. You're just focusing on what would make a good head of sales. Never mind marketing. We'll do our own thing over here. Okay, that's fine. All right, that's it for me. I'm Dean Waye. Thanks very much for watching. We're doing a bunch of these, so keep an eye out. And thank you, everybody. Mikael, thank you, John, for being here today. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.